Hello everybody, my name is Hammock. It's been a bit of a while. It's kind of tricky to make videos when the world is on fire, but I'm here with some cool tricks that I've been holding on to for quite a while, mainly just because I haven't really figured out a way to present them really, since some of them are a little bit obscure and not too useful unless you're tryharding in like Highlander or Sevens or whatever the game mode is these days. So I'm going to bring you some Team Fortress 2 tricks that are very esoteric, secret, hidden, whatever you could say. So first of all, for the engineer, there's some quite interesting ones. First of all, there's an odd thing with the tournament mode. This is the mode that's enabled if you're playing competitive in Team Fortress 2. It basically allows you to set both teams to have a ready check so you know when you can have the round start when everyone joins. As well as some other configs that you can enable, so if you're playing like 5CP or King of the Hill, the round will end after one team gets 3 wins, for example. Well, there's a safety thing, well I guess not a safety thing, but a thing in place to stop it so that engineers don't cheat. Because when an engineer dies, they usually go and spectate their buildings, like their sentry, the dispenser, the teleporters, and they'll do that in third person. And with that enabled, you can put your mini sentry somewhere and spectate around it to get some vision. So people are aware of that, and for MP tournament, you can't third person spectate. So when you die as an engineer, you kind of just have your camera locked on your corpse, which is a bit odd. But I found whenever I played Highlander that is quite interesting, because me, particularly as someone who's not very good at deathmatch skills, I found a lot of time when I played King of the Hill or 5CP, which was actually played for quite a while in Highlander. I don't think it's played that much nowadays. But there are a lot of times where you have stalemates where you're basically waiting for both teams to see if they use Uber first or get the medic pick or whatever. So what you could do is, as an engineer who's oftentimes in 5CP quite a low value class once you have all your buildings set up, you can kind of just walk in through like Big Door in Wash or something like that and try to sack on the medic, and if you die, you can then spectate around your corpse and you're kind of like a ward, like a security camera, and you can get some extra intel of like, oh no, they're quickly rotating to choke, and you can get some extra details, or more importantly, you could see a spy cloaking in for a choke and call it out to your team and be like, guys, cloak spy running in through choke now, and they just spam it and they kill the spy immediately. So that could be a very useful thing in a team-based situation, like Highlander, and quite a useful tip for just engineers in general, but it is locked to tournament mode. The next one is a little bit odd, and well, I guess they're all a little bit odd. It allows you to change your mind when you're using the Eureka effect. So first of all, this only really works if you have a Eureka effect bind. If you're not aware, there are commands in console that you can type or have binds to access the Eureka panel. So instead of having to open up the Eureka panel and decide if you want to go to base or if you want to go to exit, you can bind Eureka teleport to a key. For example, I have a script that I believe was made by Solarlight a while ago, where if you press B, you can go back to base, and if you hold down Shift and then press B, you can then go to your exit, and I'll put that script in the description if people want to use it. It's very helpful. So what I found is, if you want to go to your exit, and then for some reason, for example, this exit gets like sapped, or you get a call that the place that the exit is in is dangerous, you can then quickly press your button to go back to base while the animation is going on and quickly change your mind and then go back to base, which can be very helpful and even life-saving in certain situations. Now this is a thing that I posted some videos, some like shadow play clips a while ago, and it still isn't fixed because, I mean, there's a lot of exploits in TF2 that take a while to get fixed just because the game is very old and very difficult to manage. But this one is sentry clipping, where you push yourself into your sentry and then use that to store momentum and launch yourself, like the old teletraps where you could teletrap yourself by teleporting through the entrance and getting stuck between the entrance and the exit on staircases. They fixed that by now, but that was an old thing where you could trap yourself, store some momentum by shooting yourself with a wrangled mini sentry, and then destroy the exit and launch yourself across the map. You can still kind of do this. So for example, on Upward First, where you could potentially viably do this in Highlander, if it wasn't for the fact that after it being reported, they changed the rules so you can't use it, which is perfectly reasonable because it is very busted. However, you can still do it in pubs, because there's no rules in pubs really, as long as people don't vote kick you, I guess. Basically, you stand in a position where you know the cart is going to push you, like for example, if the cart is about to make a turn. You put your mini sentry in between that space, so you get pushed into the mini sentry space, and it doesn't actually destroy the mini sentry unless the mini sentry is in the path of the payload. Using this, you're now stuck in your mini, and you can either place a dispenser to heal yourself, or more likely you can have a medic heal you so that you can do this a lot quicker. Get an overheal, store some damage with the mini sentry, and then once you detonate the mini sentry, you can launch yourself. You can also pair this with Jessica's Blessing, for example, to just double hit and potentially destroy a sniper. Just come out of the sky and just punch the crap out of him. I'll also lightly touch on Jessica's Blessing, not going to take credit for this. This was discovered by little Jessica a while ago. Basically, there is a way that you can store your melee swing by doing a swing as you pick up a building, and it holds onto it. And then when you place the building down, it will do the melee swing. So if you drop the building down and then do another attack, it does a double attack. And you can script this, which is what little Jessica has done. You can basically do a launching maneuver where you can store momentum in your mini sentry, pick it up, fly towards a sniper, and then as you drop on the ground, drop the mini sentry and pow, just beat up the sniper and him, and you have a mini with you. You're more likely to get air shot out of the sky in the process, but it's really cool and spectacular. I'll leave a link to little Jessica in the description. Now I feel like this particular trick has been touched on quite a lot, but I feel like I need to include it just because there are some little variations that I personally wasn't aware of, so I feel like other people may not be aware of too. So most people know that by now with the Eureka effect, you can use it to place discount teleporters. So at the start of the round, if you're playing King of the Hill product, for example, that's pro product, you can come out of spawn with the Eureka effect, place down an entrance, go back to spawn, switch back to Gunslinger, and that entrance is still the Eureka entrance. So subsequent teleporters being built, as long as that one stays alive, will cost 100 metal for upgrades, which is generally more optimal and cheaper. And since at the start of the round there's a little freeze period while everyone's waiting to get like buffs before the round starts, you get plenty of time to switch to Eureka effect, then place it, and then go back, and you might be a little bit behind your team, but it's fine, you're an engineer, you don't necessarily need to be the fastest in the rollout. However, if you have active weapons between lives enabled, what you can do is go Eureka effect, pull out the PDA like you're about to build an entrance, and then switch to Gunslinger. And that allows you to stay on Gunslinger with the entrance prepped, so as you walk out you can place it, that is a Eureka entrance, but you're holding the Gunslinger. It's magic! Next we'll go on to another Eureka effect related tip. I mean, it is my favorite wrench, it's got so many options and creativity. So in case people aren't aware, Eureka effect has the option to teleport to your exit. You don't need to have your entrance built for this, so it allows you to place some quite sneaky exits, particularly on, say, let's revisit Control Point Gully Wash, which was one of my favorite maps when I played a lot of Highlander because there are a lot of little sneaky spots you can hide a tele exit and sneak behind the enemy team and perhaps go for a back cap or just go for a sniper pick. And I think it's worth touching on that when you teleport to the Eureka effect exit, you don't like follow it with the same sounds and particle effects as when you're doing the teleport, because when you're charging up, you're lifting your wrench into the sky and summoning a lightning bolt and going, but then when you appear through the exit, you're not making any noise or any kind of visual noise. There's no like particle effect. You literally just appear on the exit, and not even like you've teleported where you're kind of centered on the exit and you've got a moment where you can't really like move for a second, which helps for example, taunt killing an exit. You just appear and immediately start moving, which is quite scary if you're on the receiving end of it. because I'm usually the person who teleports through it, so I haven't necessarily noticed how sneaky it is, but seeing other people run Eureka effect, by the way, big fan. I'm liking all the people using Eureka effect recently. It took a while, but oh my god, there's so many people using it. It's so great. They just appear out of nowhere and you're like, oh fuck, and then they shotgun you down. It's great. So I just need to like reiterate, if you haven't seen this, you should definitely give Eureka effect more of a try. You can hide a little exit behind the enemy team and then pop through and suddenly ruin someone's day. And they're like, how the fuck did you get here? I don't see any teleports, I don't see any glowing blue or red rings. Okay, next one is about the Thompson. Yes, I've trashed on the Thompson quite a bit in previous videos, talking about how it is the worst primary, and it still kind of is the worst primary. Like, in terms of playstyle, I personally end up using the Widowmaker actually less, just because I can't really aim that well. But I have found that there are actually a couple uses for the Thompson. There were actually 3 uses I used it for a while ago when I was playing a ton of Highlander. First one was a bug with the Thompson. I'm not exactly sure what caused it, but when you hit people with the Thompson, it would juggle them very slightly. So you could use this to juggle someone bombing the medic if you were good enough at hitting them, or hit a spy about to get a stab to quickly throw them off. The other one was because back when I played a ton of Highlander, before the Ambi and the Dead Ringer got its just desserts, Gun Spy was pretty much the meta. Having a second sniper on your team was overall more consistent than gambling whether or not you get the stab on the medic. You can just run around basically being a scout who... You're basically Tracer actually. You just run around, take a fight, win the fight, because if you lose the fight, you can feign and then come back to it later when they're low health and then just ambi them down. It was really frustrating, and especially as an engineer where you've got a lot less tools available to you, unless you can catch the spy in close range, shotgun them down, and then track them while they're feigned and somehow land the shots needed. Like, they just have so many advantages in that situation, unless you have the Thompson, which is very much designed to make a spy hate you. You hit the spy and it drains their cloak, which if they're using Dead Ringer usually means it forces their cloak, and then suddenly they have a lot less charge available to them. This made it very good as a preventative measure. If there was a spy constantly going after your teleporter, I remember having a very scary game a while ago when I scrimmed against Chess Club, which was a very prominent and powerful European Prem team. And they had Kazul, who in my opinion was one of the best spies, mainly because he was a revolver main during the time which pretty much every spy was running Dead Ringer Ambi. And oftentimes revolver is actually the best primary. Certainly now it is the best primary because Ambi is being completely gutted. Back then, if you could consistently just tap people in the chest and go bam, 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 people just die really quickly, especially engineers. Like, if you're an engineer and you haven't got the best deathmatch ability, especially when you're fighting a Prem spy, they'll just destroy you. So I was having a lot of trouble against spies like Kazul that would just run me over with a revolver. But then if you have Thompson, if you can get like one good clean shot on them, they're like, oh no, fuck, I'm not invincible anymore. I've lost my Dead Ringer. My power ring! Ah! Then more often than not, they'll kind of fear you a little bit and then back off so they can go get some ammo packs and stuff, which gives you enough time to be like, okay, the teleporter is safe for now. The heavy can take the teleporter. The day has been saved. The other use for the Thompson, which is still usable now because it hasn't been patched, well, I say patched, it isn't really an exploit. It's more exploiting people's perspectives. It lets you basically guarantee dropping a medic. So, okay, a lot of these strats are geared towards Highlander because I'm very competitive minded, even though I don't play Highlander anymore, I don't really have the time. If you can go for a sack wave, like say you're sacking the medic on Upward or Badwater or any of the standard Highlander maps, maybe Vigil, I haven't really played Vigil that much, but Vigil's pretty good. Say you're going for a sack wave, if you can get into a position where you can run at the medic and then land a Thompson shot before you inevitably get deleted by every other person, if you can drop the medic to like 95% Uber, 97% Uber from the drain, that is huge. because while their Uber has been drained, they can't Uber. Because even though they've got close to full Uber, even though that drain didn't really do anything, they can't use. So what does that mean? It means you can do a sack wave, where say you're sending in your soldier in your demo to force the medic, but you send in the NG first. They drain them for a very small amount for a fraction of time that medic can't use, and he's dead. You've technically dropped the Uber. It's a pretty good strat to do, especially if you don't really value your life as an engineer, but you value the enemy medic's life a lot more. And finally, for the engineer-related tricks, I have got some other ones. I just haven't really thought about how to make them really strong. And I've got some other tricks for other classes, but we'll deal with those some other time. Is how the ramp up in terms of damage of explosives works. So when you're doing rocket jumping, for example, as a soldier, or just shooting people with rockets, you'll notice that if you shoot someone from far away, you'll do like 40 damage with a rocket. But if you shoot someone right next to you, you just obliterate them for like 90 or like 100 damage of a rocket. I think it's like 90 if it's like no damage spread. But it can go up to like over 100. So you can just obliterate like a big earner spy, for example, with a close-up rocket. This also means when you're doing rocket jumping, if you shoot the floor below you, you can go pretty high. If you crouch jump and like shoot it like behind you as you're flicking your wrist, you can go pretty high because you're crouching and it's hitting more of your hitbox. Or you're shooting from the right side or the left side wall and hitting more of your body and flying more forward. That's all because of the position of the rocket compared to you as the person makes the damage higher. So when it comes to engineer, when you're shooting Wrangler rockets, they do quite a bit of damage from a distance, but if something is right next to you and you, not the sentry, it doesn't base it off the sentry. If someone's right next to the sentry and you shoot a Wrangler rocket and you're pretty far back, it'll kind of do like 40, 50 damage. But if there's say like a spy that is like about to sap a gun, and you run quite close to him and then Wrangler shoot a rocket at the spy's feet, you can pretty much one-shot the spy, especially if they're running big earner, but they'll fall over like a wizard, basically. That's because the damage spread is based on where you are as the engineer, position-wise, with the rocket. This is important to know so that if you're in a situation where you're wrangling your gun, you hear a spy decloak, you know you haven't got that much HP, so you know that the spy could easily beat a 1v1 and then sap your gun. You're like, okay, I'm gonna risk it. Shoot a Wrangler rocket at the floor in between you and them. You can pretty much guarantee you one-shot them. You might kill yourself, you could survive, who knows, but is it a better turnout? It might be, and especially in a Highlander situation where you might need your gun up for a few extra seconds, especially if the spy stays alive after you die and can go on to sap your telly, you might want to try just blowing up that spy. And after that, I think I'll also close it with another sort of, I wouldn't necessarily say a secret tip, it's more a tip that I accidentally found. So when it comes to, say, rocket hauling, where you shoot the rocket out of your sentry, pick up the sentry, and then fly off into the sunset, sometimes if you're in a hurry or you just haven't practiced it recently, you click it a little bit too quickly and you pick up the gun before you even fired the rocket. And then for some reason it ends up queuing the rocket. And what that means is if you place the sentry down again and then build it up, if you wrangle when it's upgraded to, say, level 2 stage, it'll then immediately dispatch the rocket, which is kind of strange and actually gets quite annoying if you're trying to rocket haul. You're like, ah crap, I picked it up too quickly. Put it down, upgrade it, pull out the wrangle, oh, and then you immediately shot yourself in the face like trying to wrangle again because it just queued it up. It means that if you can try to do this deliberately, it could actually work quite well as a safety mechanism if you have to move up your sentry, for example. You can queue the rocket, pick up the sentry, move up to the place that you want to go, and then assuming that you're building very aggressive, for example, bad water last, you want to move the sentry up to the shelf, the usual end of game level 3 NG strat on blue team, you can pull up the gun and be like, oh crap, people are coming out of spawn, there's a guy running at me, pull the Wrangler, and then have a Wrangler rocket to save the day while you're moving up the gun. Just something I thought about that could be kind of cool to do deliberately. I mean, there's a lot of really weird, like, specific things you can do as NG, which may not be useful in most situations, but it's nice to know that there's a bunch of very specific things just in case on the time, on the situation, in your time of need, you're like, wait, I've just Doctor Strange thought of this one reality where this thing works. I've got it. I've got the plan. Anyway, I hope you liked these kinds of weird tricks and video ideas. I've been doing a lot of reading over sort of simple-ish and weird and like exploity kind of things that I personally am not much of a fan of. But I wanted to go over some things that are more relating to, you know, Highlander engineers and people who just want to take the game super seriously and find these really weird things and figure out a use for them. And there's a lot of other ones if you want to look out on the engineer.tf Discord. I can't advertise. Sorry, I hit my keyboard. I can't advertise these people enough. They're very helpful. They've got a Discord and a website with a whole bunch of videos talking about how to play engineer very well. I've got a video that I helped do about Upward if you want to check that out. Upward map spots and strategies and stuff. But if you go on the Discord, you can ask for help, you can get mentors, you can go in the engineer discussions and chat about the class and all these cool things that you found out, and you learn something new every day. And it's a really nice place to be. We also have a Minecraft server if you're interested. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.